Presentation on the NCAA NIL money. I'm Madeline Razu.
I'm Ashley Fannin.
I'm Anthony Long.
I'm 这些肉。
And what is the NCAA and NIL? So the NCAA stands for National Collegiate Athletic Association. It oversees college sports in the United States, sets and enforces competition rules, manages eligibility, and organizes major national championships with over 1,000 colleges and universities across 3 divisions. The NIL stands for Name, Image, and Likeness and is a recent change which allows student athletes to earn money through endorsements, sponsorships, and personal branding. And these updates have reshaped the college sports world. So now going into our business problem and goals, like I said, NIL has caused major shifts, and students can now earn compensation, which now creates new challenges for universities, including increased uncertainty around recruiting and talent distribution, competitive imbalances between programs, and evolving financial pressures and resource demands. The purpose of our project is to analyze how NIL activity connects with key program outcomes, including team performance, recruiting rankings, and athletic department revenue, and to also identify patterns and relationships that reveal how NIL is shaping the competitive landscape. We used 3 datasets within our project. The first one being NCAA finances, which focused on schools' total revenue and expenses. The next was the college basketball dataset, providing information on college basketball teams' performance. And lastly, from On3 was NIL valuations, providing information on NIL valuations for the top 100 players in all college sports. Now Anthony is going to talk about data preparation.
All right, so data preparation primarily happened outside of Excel to begin. For the On3 website and the NCAA finances and revenues table, we had to take those and manually convert them into an Excel file, which we could then plug into Python. The NCAA finances and revenue one, we could largely just drag and drop in, while On3, we had to create and reformat little to cover name, sport, school, and NIL valuation. That file also only had the data available for the top 47 athletes, which is kind of a bottleneck in our data, but it is also the best data we could find. Other cleaning included cleaning school names and making sure that that was consistent across all data sets. For examples, in some data sets, Ohio State University may be called just Ohio State, while in another data set, it may be called OSU as an abbreviation. So making sure that that was consistent across all formats and it could be read between each data set was important. And also was important because we were able to combine all 3 data sets into one model for one part of our presentation. On the next slide, it goes over again the data sets we used. The NCAA finances, which covered school revenue and expenses, the college basketball performance data set, which covered our team wins, efficiency rankings, and then the NIL valuation data. As mentioned, that we covered the top 47 athletes, but it did provide some insight into what schools are paying their athletes and which ones are giving out the most money right now. And that ties into our goal, which is to identify which factors have the strongest influence on athlete NIL value. Our strategy was to create interpretable models that can be varied due to the small data set size and still provide good insight. For the data analysis, we wanted summary statistics for all data sets, box plots to detect outliers, and then sport level NIL breakdowns. For the models we selected, we used a linear regression model, this baseline model to test general trends between school success and NIL value, a ridge regression model, which controls multicollinearity, in financial and performance metrics, a random forest model, which found nonlinear patterns and helped confirm if relationships would still hold in a more flexible model. And then for the visual exploratory data analysis, we also had those box plots, sport level breakdowns, as well as general summary statistics from all data sets.
We began with conducting a train and test strategy. So we trained the model using 80% of our data and then tested it with the remaining 20% to shuffle and sample the data to avoid order bias. We then ensured balanced representation among all the major sports, football, men's basketball, and women's basketball, and then did our best to remove any extreme outliers that were above $4 million. We then merged NIL data with school win totals, and all 3 models were trained on this same merged data set. Then we moved on to feature selection, where we kept the subset of variables that existed consistently across NIL, using NIL valuation as our target, and In our first model, team wins as the predictor, and then the other predictors varied with the remaining models. Financial and basketball metrics merged with the NIL dataset, and then we ensured that each model was trained once again on a clean, consistent dataset without any missing values. So moving on to our dataset key for some background, and then we moved on to our first model, which was our linear regression. So this answered the question of, do schools with more wins have athletes with higher NIL valuations? As you can see, there are many different points among this linear regression. However, the overall regression line is at a very weak positive. So we can conclude that the wins do not strongly predict any NIL value. Moving on to the second model, which was a ridge regression model. This combined a bunch of different variables. So we said which variables predict NIL value when multicollinearity is present in a linear model. So different from the last one, we can see that men's basketball was actually the strongest coefficient, so it had the most influence for the highest NIL. And then going down, it was effective field goal percentage on offense and total expenses. And once again, wins were near zero coefficient, so the predictor was not very strong. Moving on to the third model, which was the random forest regression, it conducted the question which variables are the strongest predictors when nonlinear relationships and interactions are allowed. So in this model, we were able to see that tempo and total expense and revenue were the strongest predictors. And we took that total expense and revenue and used it for our fourth model, another random forest regression, where you can see a clear line of when around $200 million occurs at the revenue, there was a clear jump. And so from this, we can conclude that wealthier programs have a much higher raise in athlete NIL. Moving on to the model evaluation.
Linear regression, red regression, and random forest use R-score. Adjust R-score and MAE because our dataset include only 47 athletes. All modules produce their relatively low R-score value, but MAE give us a clear picture of predictive accuracy. Red regression performed slightly better and gave more consistent results, where random forest strategy adhering to the limited sample size. Next page. As you see, we compared three modules compare different perspectives on MIL value. Linear regressions established the baseline. Reg improved stability, and the random forest tested for nonlinear effects. Next page. Our visual analysis shows the NIL value is extremely concentrated. Football dominates the NIL landscape, generating over $75 million across 34 athletes. Men's basketball ranks second with around 26 million. Well, women's basketball has only one top-ranked athlete at about 2 million. The box report highlights high variance, manipulated outlines, and a wide ranking distribution from rank 1 to rank 47. Confirming the NIL value is heavily top-loaded. Next page. Essentially, our approach promotes the transparency by using data-driven evolution rather than assumption or media. It helps universities makes smarter backgating and regrading decision, and highlights structural inequalities across sport and conferences. Next page. In conclusion, our analysis shows the NIL value is driven more by school resource exposure and visibility than by performance metrics such as wins. Regression proved to be the most relatable module for our small dataset, and the overall takeaway is clean. NIL valuation depends on visibility and financial power, not no field performance alone. This insight can guide universities in plan recruiting and athletic branding strategy moving forward. Thanks for your listening. This is NCAA presentation group.